Alrighty. Just set a few more things up before I flick over. I am Emperor Ronald Reagan, born again with fascist cravings. You still made me president. Human rights will soon go away. Now I shot today. Now I command all of you. Now you're gonna pray in school, and I'll make sure they're Christian too. Alright, Q. I will not be surprised if there's some weird quinky dinky shit that happens during this, but oh well. Oh well. So I haven't done this for a while. So this will be interesting. Uh, Reasons why I haven't done it for a while. Life gets in your way, you know. It just be like that. All right. Let me make sure that. All right, and then I will actually flick over to the proper screen that we're using. Um, for just a quick little bit of fun of something I tweeted recently. I said I was doing a little riff off of fucking the George Carlin bit because I'm a huge George Carlin fan. Um, his whole like death penalty, we should turn it into like a whole public spectacle and make it like something that we can make a lot of money off, and that way we can balance the stupid fucking budget. I was sort of just riffing off of that by saying we need to bring back public beheadings of rulers, make an event of it. Fuck it, get some sponsors to contribute the blades, have Bad Bunny perform in the background. Good fun for all ages with a good moral message for the kids. You can do it too. You just got to dream big. And lo and behold, hang on, not him. Of course, I got not many, of course, but a few little crybabies. A few little crybabies very concerned about, I don't know, the feelings of the ruling class. Yeah, what a shocker commie reaching out for public executions as a go-to. To which I said, shut up. I saw you begging for Trump to replace Albo. Don't pretend like you believe in democracy. But if you enjoy being fucked over constantly by the same ruling class, like you're their gimp, that's your kink, not mine. To which he said something about how, like, oh, how unusual a commie who can't use context when making a point. I don't know what like, is he referring to the context of what he said about how Trump should have replaced Albo? Like, I remember him talking about it back when fucking Maduro was kidnapped. So I don't know, man. Like, you're the one who said it, not me. Why is my hair being annoying like this? It's always doing that. Oh God. Oh well. Guess we just have to accept. Hang on, I have a real problem with always wanting to fucking just make my hair that little bit more perfect. And it's frustrating because even though I'm doing this right now, I do know for a fact I will never be able to make it perfect. Alright, that's it. I'm done with it. Yeah, if anything, I made it worse. Kind of the common theme of what happens there. Alright, so just want to double check something on my phone. Alright, so Israel and Iran, or America and Iran, or Israel and America and Iran. So I'm sure it goes without saying everyone's pretty well aware of, what's been happening there over the past like few days. It's been fucking horrendous. Um, Now, I'm not someone who has some deep love for the Ayatollah. Like, it ain't my religion, but also I am first and foremost an anti-fascist, anti-authority, anti-empire, anti-hierarchy, what else can you think of? Tyrant, dictator, like all those different things. Like, I can't stand any of it. So, um, I don't see it as necessarily like, ooh, I know he's a dictator, but he's such a strong bulwark against the Western devil or whatever. I mean, like in the sense of they're proof that there is a country or a few countries out there that aren't just linked in with the Western capitalist system that is ever expanding, uh, I guess. But I mean, come on, the guy was pretty horrendous. He wasn't like a great guy. And then again, it ain't my religion, so I don't really have any sort of spiritual connection to him. So my only complaint is why can't we have more dictators be toppled? Like the ones at home. That's my only issue. But we've already been seeing stuff that's been happening, that's been coming out of America, sorry, that's been coming out of, well, Iran, out of Israel, out of America, in regards to everything that's going on. So I didn't really want to focus that much on that stuff because I feel like everyone's already getting their little bits and bobs from whatever they're seeing. So I thought instead it might be more interesting to just look at the Australian response. I might have to turn the light on at some point. Um, but yeah, I wanted to have a look at the Australian response because, I'm Australian. This is my country, and I want to know where we're standing on this issue at the end of the day. So I got here, I haven't even read it. Like, I did see a brief thing that Albo has said, and obviously I kind of ridiculed it. But, here we go. We got the actual statement on Iran because I haven't actually read the whole thing. So I'm curious to see what he has to say. Australia stands with the brave people of Iran in their struggle against oppression. For decades, the Iranian regime has been a destabilizing force through its ballistic missile and nuclear program, support for armed proxies, and brutal acts of violence and intimidation. All right, already we're having issues. For decades, the Iranian regime has been a destabilizing force through its nuclear programs. The nuclear programs that it's apparently always been like 2 weeks away from completing every single time we've had to do what we look back upon as the most stupid, pointless, destructive, destabilizing military actions, obviously typically done by America, that have ever happened in the region within the past, like what? How long has it been Iran, the Islamic Republic? It was 1979, so like 40 years, or a little bit over 40 years, like what, 47. So since then, they keep saying, oh yeah, the nuclear program's destabilizing, blah blah blah. Yet they seem to be able to keep doing it. They seem to be able to keep doing the nuclear programs, and we're just so baffled by the fact that they just aren't willing to stop. I just don't get it. Why wouldn't they want to stop after we've bombed them a few more times? Maybe this bombing will be the one that stops them, especially since we've now killed the Ayatollah. So, yeah, fucking great. Iran directed at least two attacks on Australian soil in 2024, and I'm pretty sure that that is in high question what he's referring to there, because I'm pretty sure that's kind of all bullshit that he kind of made up, but whatever. These appalling acts targeting Australia's Jewish community were intended to create fear, dividing our society, and challenge our sovereignty. Okay, you can say these two. What do you mean by challenge our sovereignty? What can Iran do to challenge our sovereignty in Australia? You know who really challenges our sovereignty? America and Israel. In response, Australia took the unprecedented steps of expelling Iran's ambassador, that's right, suspending operations at our embassy in Tehran, and listing the Revolutionary Guard Corps as a state sponsor of terrorism. Our government has sanctioned, so like it really has been like since 2024, like, well, 2023, I guess. Wait, was it 24? When was October 6th? I don't hear it that much, I just, no one ever talks about it. Our government has sanctioned more than 200 Iranian-linked individuals, including more than 100 linked to the IRGC. With international partners, including the United States and the G7, we have called for the Iranian regime to uphold the human rights and fundamental freedoms of Iran's citizens. These calls have gone unheeded. Instead, the regime has instigated a brutal crackdown on its own people, leaving thousands of Iranian civilians dead. Yeah, I mean, obviously that wasn't great, but I don't know if bombing the place is really going to help with that. A regime that relies on the repression and murder of its own people to retain power is without legitimacy. You might want to hold that thought, Albo. Hang on, I'm going to turn this down a little bit more. You might want to hold that thought a little bit, Albo, because I can't help but notice that a few of your buddies across the pond do exactly these sorts of things. Um, it has long been recognized that Iran's nuclear program is a threat to global peace and security. The international community has been clear that the Iranian regime can never be allowed to develop a nuclear weapon, just never, never allowed to, not allowed to. Um, we can hold nuclear weapons here, even though we're not really allowed to, but we can hold them here for America. Uh, but they aren't allowed any. The United Nations Security Council, Israel has also allowed them, but we don't talk about that. The United Nations Security Council has reimposed sanctions on Iran for failing to comply with the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. United Nations Security Council has reimposed sanctions. Is that? Oh no, well, anyway, on Iran for failing. Oh God, I'm going to yawn again. Um, for failing to comply with the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action and the International Atomic Energy Agency board, has formally declared Iran in non-compliance with its non-proliferation safeguards obligations. We support the United States acting to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon, as in by bombing them, and to prevent Iran continuing to threaten international peace and security. No comment. No comment about the legitimacy of anything that the United States have done. No comment about, is it legal by international law? Is it legal by their own law? Would we be willing to do something like, as in, would this be legal within our right to do if we were to do it? Like, there's no comment about any of this. It's just we support them. Australian officials are closely monitoring this evolving situation. We continue to advise Australians to do not travel to Iran. God, it says a lot that I'm yawning while fucking reading his bloody statement. And leave Iran as soon as possible if it is safe to do so. If it's safe to do so. How would it be safe to do so? Our ability to provide consular assistance in Iran is extremely limited. I wonder why that is. Given our concerns around security in the region, we have also upgraded Australia's travel advice for Israel and Lebanon to do not travel. I'm going to need to do something about this yawning. Australians should leave now if it is safe to do so. All right, in Lebanon and Israel. Why? Why should they have to leave there? Could it be because Iran is someone who can actually retaliate? And so this wasn't that thought out, as you would expect from a Trump admin. The Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade has activated its crisis center. Yeah, yeah, okay. So that's that, and it's also, I'm guessing it's supposed to be like signed or whatever. Why don't they get pictures? That's a bit rude. Hang on, I just need to deal with something. Alrighty, I'm back. Just gonna double check here. Let's see, will that stay muted? Yeah, it stays muted. Alright, cool. Um, alright. So, continuing on. So yes, Albanese says Australian government supports US acting to prevent Iran obtaining a nuclear weapon. If this has any more information, then I'll go through that. If it doesn't, then we'll just continue on as is. Express support for the United States acting to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon after the US launched a daytime attack on the Middle Eastern nation. Anthony Albanese said in a joint statement with two senior ministers, that would have been what we just saw, that the international community had been clear that the Iranian regime could never be allowed to develop nuclear weapons. The United Kingdom government warned against escalating conflict while the European Commission urged maximum restraint. What do we mean by urging maximum restraint? Because who are they telling to have maximum restraint? I wonder if it's Iran or if it's the United States. Australian Prime Minister says the government supports. Yeah. I can start requiring while leaders in the United Kingdom have warned against escalating conflict. Again, that doesn't really. So, like, are they kind of tiptoeing the line? I mean, maybe. Urge Australians not to travel there. What are you? Oh, really? Stood with the brave people of Iran in their struggle against oppression. Yep, just hopefully they stay out of the way of us bombing them. You know, wouldn't want that. That'd get a bit awkward. Uh, we support the United States acting to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. Yes, the nuclear weapon that they've had 2 weeks away from being, they've been 2 weeks away from it for like 3,000 years, just as it was foretold in the Bible. Well, sorry, the Torah. It has long been recognized. Okay, these are just quotes from that. Is that legit, or we're getting? Okay, well, I guess we get this. Opposition leader has said in a post that Iran's regime was authoritarian, anti-Semitic, and abhorrent. It wants nuclear weapons. Wants nuclear weapons, seeks the destruction of Israel, and has encouraged terrorism through its proxies, Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis. I like that they are all that they do all start with H. I wonder if there's a thing around that. I wonder if that's, I don't know. And has supplied weapons to Russia to support Putin's invasion of Ukraine. Which, to be clear, I don't like. Not in favor of any of that stuff. You know, like, well, especially that bit. You know, that's shit. These guys, I mean, what do they call it? A complicated issue. That's what I say. It's what I hear people say. It's what I say. We pray for the Iranian people at this time. May courage prevail. Yes, courage. It's always what we want. The EU calls for maximum restraint in conflict, said it did not want to see the military strikes pitting the US and Israel against Iran escalating into a broader Middle East conflict. It said the UK's immediate priority was the safety of its citizens in the region. A spokesperson also said the UK had a range of defensive capabilities in the region, which we have recently bolstered. We stand ready to protect our interests. A government source said that Britain was not involved in the US and Israeli strikes on Iran. He is such a disappointment, Keir Starmer is. I mean, like, not that he was ever like, not that ever anyone really had high expectations for him, but fuck me dead, man. Fucking kid starver over here. Separately, the UK government in a message on X. If there was anything that, if there's anything that tells you how fucked we are as as like society, species, whatever, is the fact that we're just waiting on the X message to get our like latest updates from governments. Like fuck me, man. Journalism is so dead. Um, urged its citizens in Bahrain, I don't actually know how to pronounce that, Kuwait, Qatar, and United Arab Emirates to immediately shelter in place because of reported missile attacks on sites in those countries. President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, Jesus, said the developments in Iran were, and people say Muslim names and Indian names and whatnot are difficult. How do you say that last word? How are you supposed to say that? Leon? Leon? I don't know, man. Ursula? At least Muhammad makes like you can read it and make sense of that. So the developments in Iran were greatly concerning. Yes, always very concerning, very concerning. She said that the European Commission, wait, Commission? European Commission? What's the European Commission? It's not the EU. Would take all necessary steps to support European citizens in the region. We call on all parties to exercise maximum restraint. I mean, it's kind of easy to say out of nowhere. We encourage everyone, all parties, to exercise maximum restraint when, like, America and Israel already got in their main strikes. So, like, let's be real, you're really just telling Iran to, hey, don't retaliate as much. I don't know, man. It gets so blatantly obvious the more and more you kind of, the more and more you read this shit, I find. Yeah. We reaffirm our steadfast commitment to safeguarding regional security. Okay, so it's all just like security, security. Condemns attacks on neighbors, condemned Iranian strikes, yes. Um, United Emirates also said it had intercepted Iranian missiles and that it reserved its right to respond to the attacks, while Abu Dhabi residents said they heard loud explosions in the Emirati capital, which is home to a base housing US personnel. Qatar's defense minister said it had intercepted several missiles. Remember when, like, what, yesterday I think it was, we saw that Kuwait knocked out like three fucking US jets by accident? Yeah, good job. Good job, guys. Good job, Kuwait. Yeah, while Kuwait engaged incoming strikes. By who? Which, who did they engage? I remember seeing a few guys falling out of jets that they blew up, but I don't know if they were the jets you were thinking they were. The Saudi, I mean, does Iran even have jets? The Saudi Arabian statement said the kingdom strongly condemned and denounced in the strongest terms the brutal Iranian aggression and the blatant violation of the sovereignty of. I mean, the thing is, so okay, I was actually going to wait, hang on, what do I got next? Yeah, so I'm actually going to do this bit first, well, next, because a lot of people are probably wondering, like, why is Iran attacking out of all of this, as a part of their retaliatory strikes? Why are they, of all people, of all countries to attack? Why is it a lot of these like Gulf states, a lot of these, well, in this case, Dubai, you know? Can I, maybe I can just put this down a little bit. Oh, that went very down. Yeah, I just want to have my hands more visible, you know? I'm a hands kind of guy. I also have a sandwich. Um, so why did Iran bomb Dubai? Now this was, yeah, yesterday. I was reading this last night. Now I've actually read this whole article, but I thought it was really interesting. A Middle East expert explains the regional alliances at play. So US-Israeli joint strikes on Iran over the weekend have seen war break out over in the region once again. Blah blah blah. Let's cut through all that shit. We've all seen it. Um, so yeah, here we go. Here's the picture. These are all the places that Iran, well, at least as of yesterday, has struck. I don't know if there's more now because you get a bit of the like, oh, they've struck here, they've struck there, and it's a lot of the same names, and you start to think like, oh, well, am I just reading a bit of old news, you know? So as of the 2nd of March, this is where they've hit so far. And so we have the UAE getting hit a bunch. We have Saudi Arabia getting only hit once, which is kind of surprised actually. I would have expected them to be hit a bit more. Iraq only once. Bahrain 3 times? Oh no, sorry, Bahrain's over here. So whatever, once, then Qatar. Oh, that's right, that's Kuwait. I get them a little mixed up. Oman. Interestingly, not a Yemen. No, of course not. Israel, and then Jordan. A lot in Israel, of course. Obviously, most were going to be in Israel. And so, again, why? Why are they hitting all these places? Now, of course, they're not Iran's ally by any measure. They do not like um, Iran at all. I mean, here you go. An unpopular neighbor. In spite of Iran's relative size and military power in the region, the Iranian government is not well liked by its neighbors. At best, Iran is seen as a rival. At worst, as an adversary. Saudi Arabia and Iran have spent more than a decade in proxy war over Yemen, so that probably explains why Yemen just ever had anything launched towards them because Iran probably saw it as like, ugh, we don't want to risk hitting some of our proxy allies there. Iran also claimed historical ownership over Bahrain. Now, I'm going to be honest, that one is a bit like, why the fuck are you even bothering with that, guys? Like, it's not even a matter of the distance. It's literally on the other side of the Gulf there. I don't know if that's gonna. This is only going to lead to problems, you know. This was only ever going to lead to problems. Maybe wait till you get Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia. You know, I feel like this is a later project to work on. Anyways, uh, the rest of the Gulf states, namely the UAE and UAE, Kuwait, Oman, and Qatar, have fostered more pragmatic relations with Iran by keeping regular diplomatic channels open and offering to mediate disputes within the Gulf Cooperation Council. Despite simmering tensions, Iran has never been in a direct military confrontation with any of these states. Keep that in mind. Despite the fact that they have not always gotten along, I would imagine since Iran became, since the Iranian Revolution, despite the fact that they've not gotten along, Iran didn't ever just decide to fucking bomb them or invade them, and it's not like obviously they've had US support, but it's not uh like keep in mind we were supporting Iraq up until the Iraq War, mainly as a means to fuck over Iran. So like who would have thunk this shit would have happened? Hang on one sec. had to do something with my nose there, and it was going to be way too gross for camera, you know. Would have been way too gross. So, got to be respectful. What was it? So I send the bombs. I send the bombs. I'm gonna buy my sandwich. Almost all of the Gulf states have one important thing in common. They all have security guarantees from the US and host US military bases. Iran sees this as one of the most effective ways it can retaliate for a few reasons. Firstly, these bases are firmly in the range of its most plentiful ballistic missiles. Yeah, see, yeah, this is another thing. Iran, like, Israel is trying to make out like Iran can reach Europe at the moment with its ballistic missiles. Maybe, but like it's got to go over a lot of countries in order to do this. It's probably going to get intercepted. And even if it didn't, even if they were to fire one and it didn't it wasn't possible to intercept it. At the end of the day, the reason why they are hitting these places and not going for Europe is a more strategic purpose. And here we go. Bases in the Gulf also have significant strategic value to the US. The base struck in Bahrain over the weekend was the headquarters of the US Fifth Navy Fleet. Um, Their base just out of Doha, the capital of Qatar, was also targeted with Iranian ballistic missiles. Is home to, I'm just not even trying, is home to US Central Command, otherwise US CENTCOM, coordinating military operations across the region. It's also home to 10,000 US troops, the most in the area. So remember when we talk about things like, is this imperialism? Is this an empire? Yeah. However, Iran is aware of how sophisticated US early warning systems are and likely doesn't expect to significantly damage US infrastructure. What's the aim then? Instead, the strategy is to make the region less stable and ensure all of its neighbors feel it. It's effectively vowing that if operations continue, the relative peace and prosperity the Gulf has enjoyed will come to an end. Iran is hoping its neighbors will see this as a war of choice by the US and Israel, with them being dragged into the hostilities. Gulf states will either be forced to either double down on their alliance with the US, so, they really got to give it into the US, or work towards escalation. And see, the thing here is, what I imagine is they're banking on, do the Gulf states want to double down? Do they really feel okay with the US basically owning even more of their states? Because what at that point, what's left of them? I mean, unless I'm interpreting that incorrectly, but that's how I'm interpreting it. It's not clear if this strategy will pay off. And to be clear, I'm not saying that this is a great idea or whatever. I'm just saying that if this is their strategy, it's an interesting strategy. It's not clear if this strategy will pay off. It's possible this could lead to even more military pressure on Iran if the Gulf states become more involved in operations. Yeah, there is that other aspect where they're like, you sure you want to do it? You sure you want to do it? And then they all turn around and go, yes, we are very sure. And then they just fucking glass the place. They just glass Iran. At the same time, the increasingly strained relations between the Gulf states and Israel, which I think is the primary reason that Iran is banking on this, over the last 2 years would likely make several of them reluctant to get more involved. It's almost impossible for Iran to keep this strategy up indefinitely, even though it has the region's most extensive and varied arsenal of missiles. At some point, it will run out of ordnance. Is that actually how it's spelled? Ordnance? Ordnance? It just seems weird. Other countries may choose to just wait it out. Iran has made this kind of action a signature of its long-held forward defense strategy, attacking targets far away from its borders to show the depth of its reach. Using its drone and missile arsenal is simply one way to tell the region and the world the regime will not go quietly. Alongside this, Iran has a damaged but still far-reaching network of independent proxies across the region, groups in Yemen, Iraq, and Lebanon. Yeah, because that's another thing. Iraq is pretty well, um, a little bit in the pocket now. Well, a little bit is pretty well in the pocket of Iran. So good job there, guys. Iraq War was totally worth it. Um, because wasn't that because we did the Iraq War? That was a shit show. And just like in Afghanistan when America left, but not then, that was when ISIS then appeared, and they were like the big trying to do the big caliphate of Iraq and Syria, and so that's where and they were all ex Baathists or Baathists, I don't know how you say it, but they were ex Saddam Hussein guys. Like a lot of his top military dudes, at least the leaders were. And so then they pretty well just wrecked Iraq, also made life a lot more difficult in Syria, and making things worse even there. And then Iran was able to use that situation as a way to both deal with ISIS, because ISIS was, I believe, I might get this wrong, but I'm pretty sure that was Sunni. So not in line with Iran. But then what they did was by pushing into Iraq that way, they were able to help establish a new government or whatever, which basically is now beholden to Iran. I could have this a little bit wrong here, but that's my understanding of what's happened here. And employ long-term insurgent strategies in its name. Still, yeah. And by the way, there's a whole other aspect to this where, because I was saying something that was happening in Pakistan, and so it's like, because see, when you kill a religious leader like the Ayatollah, while yes, he was not just a religious leader, he was the leader of Iran as a very um, autocratic, despotic, uh, trying to think of another colorful word, tyrannical leader. Yes, he's got all that, but nonetheless, for a lot of Shia people, a lot of Shia Muslims, especially those who are in Iran, there is that conflict, that religious conflict, especially for those who are very religiously attached to being like Shia and whatnot, because I believe the Ayatollah was supposed to be like kind of like the rep, like Muhammad now kind of thing, like the Prophet Muhammad. I'm getting probably some of this mixed up. It's been a while since I've done some of my research into Islam, but nonetheless, so now you've got Muslim groups, civilians simply pissed off and going, you know what, fuck, I'm gonna go out and shoot a US soldier, especially if they're like in a country where it had been for a while that there was a relationship with the US, but they are Shia. So, eh, yeah, I saw something happen about that in Pakistan. It could have been fake. It could have been fucking AI at this point. Like, it's near impossible to know otherwise. But yeah, it this is the world that they've made for us. Um, the Lebanese paramilitary group Hezbollah has already fired projectiles into Israel. This has restarted hostilities across the Lebanese border, opening up another front for Israel. Which I will be honest, I don't know if that's like. I wouldn't be surprised if Israel was kind of banking on that. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. Um, this is, yeah. The Strait of Hormuz, through which 20% of the world's oil travels, is another part of the region Iran can weaponize. Already two oil tankers have been attacked in the strait, and the price of Brent crude has risen 13%. Put another way, the extent of these attacks are a signal. These are not the same as the calculated de-escalatory strikes Iran conducted in 2024 and 2025. This war is existential for the Islamic Republic. Its strikes across the Gulf are designed as a reminder that it will do all it can to drag the entire region into chaos, uncertainty, and stability to save itself. So that's kind of what's going on here. It's basically, I mean, that is a little bit biased framing, I think. It implies if Iran is the only one that's trying to drag the entire region into chaos, uncertainty, and instability. I mean, that's kind of the Israeli government's and IDF's whole MO at the moment. But it's a strategy. At a minimum, Iran, whatever. Iran wishes to create political consequences for all involved. The question is whether the regime will survive long enough for the consequences to have an effect. So yeah, that's that. Um, Going back to just Albo's take on these things. No party to the intelligence. Albo avoids questions on on legality of Oh, okay, here we go. This is kind of the thing I've been wanting to see. Do we get to actually? No, it's just an image. Anthony Albanese has doubled down on his assertion that the death of Ayatollah would not be mourned in Australia, while not answering questions about the legality of the US strikes against Iran. Yes, I remember that. They're basically going like, no, you can't mourn him. You're not allowed to mourn him. And this is the problem that we're running into here, where he's also a religious leader. Like, this would be if you killed the Pope. Like, you don't have to like it. You don't have to like him. I don't like him. But I can recognize the fact that that is how a lot of people at the moment are feeling and thinking. Not a majority, not by far a majority, because she is by far a very small minority of Muslims. But nonetheless, like this is what you're fucking with. You know, we could have tried diplomacy back in when Obama tried to do that. Like, God's sake, man, all of this could have been avoided. All of this could have been avoided. But that was the thing. Like, Netanyahu didn't want that to happen, didn't want that deal to happen, and he got what he wanted at the end of the day. They got Trump in, he ripped it up, and here we are now. Like what, eight, well, 8, 9, 10 years later? 10. Jesus. I really had to realize that for a moment there. No, it would be like, no, it would be no, because it would have been 2017. Anyways, Kamani, no, sorry, has doubled down on his assertion. Yeah. Khamenei, who was the supreme leader of Iran since 1989, was killed in US-Israeli military strikes in Tehran at the weekend, alongside other members in the Iranian leadership. Strikes have plunged the Middle East into conflict and sent shockwaves through the international community, with Iran already retaliating by a strike and several. Yeah, 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 yeah. To back the strike, yeah, one of the first countries. We were so keen to jump up and say we support this. They were so keen. It's one of those things where it makes you think like this can't anymore just be that he has like Albo has his own opinions in his head and he's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place here where we're Australia, there's only so much we can do. It kind of is starting to feel like he's enjoying this, that he's actually kind of on board with it now. He got his piece of the pie, and now he no longer cares about any of the shit that he used to talk about. Maybe he never cared about it to begin with. It's hard to say. You know, it's hard to fucking say. Um, ooh. We support the United States acting to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon and to prevent Iran continuing to threaten international peace and security. The statement reads, celebrations have erupted in the wake of Khamenei's death, welcoming the end of a brutal regime which oversaw state-sponsored terrorism, brutal crackdowns on protesters and bloodshed. And we don't want that. We would never want to see brutal crackdowns on protesters. Dude, you guys literally have been signing off fucking anti-protest laws. It's one of the next things we're going to be talking about. Like, what the fuck, man? The inconsistency, the fucking hypocrisy of these people. It's absolutely insane. But while US President Donald Trump has urged Iranians to rise up and seize control of your destiny, questions remain about the legality of such strikes under international law. I do love that, the whole rise up and seize control of your destiny. It's such like a Trump way of responding because it's like, it feels like he's playing a video game. It's not that simple, man. Like, there's a lot of people in Iran. There's a big, big overarching bureaucratic structure that is the Iranian government. You can't just kill the leader and expect it all to fall apart. Like, I know that he was a big religious leader, it meant a lot, but like, there was gonna inevitably be a backup. They probably were gonna have a backup plan. I think they considered this. I don't think they thought he was literally like protected by Allah and any missile any missile that was gonna hit him was just gonna fucking bounce back. I don't think they thought about that. I don't think that was their plan. Senator Wong said earlier. Senator Wong said earlier the US and Israel should be left to explain such a legality, noting Australia was not participating in any strikes, any attacks. That would be fair if they fucking answered that question themselves. Well, we're obviously not party to the intelligence that that the United States and Israelis are referencing in their decisions. So why are you so keen to support it? Because on the face of it, a lot of people are confused as to why we're doing it. Well, no, let's be real. We all know why they're doing it. It's because of fucking Epstein. It's it's really obvious. We all know why. We know why. We know why. That is why it is for them to explain the legal basis for this. Man, we used to actually be a country. We actually used to like stand for something. We used to actually have like our own take on a situation. Now it's just, oh, it's not for us to say, but yep, it was good we did it. Or they did it. We do support action taken to ensure Iran does not have a nuclear weapon. Like at this point, I hope they get a nuclear weapon because this is getting insane. This is getting insane. Not to say like I want them to get a nuclear weapon so they can attack us, but I want them to have a nuclear weapon so that one, they deserve it. They've been trying for 3,000 years apparently. But also, maybe if they had one, we would stop fucking blowing up the place and it would stop destabilizing the whole area. Because it really is us doing it. It's us. We're the ones who keep destabilizing the place. Yeah, we can do all this proxy shit back and forth, whatever. But at the end of the day, it is the fact that it is the fact that we are constantly trying to poke at Iran and try and get them to do retaliatory strikes for us to then blame it on them for doing retaliatory strikes so that we can then fire retaliatory strikes and then they fire retaliatory strikes and it's back and forth, back and forth. It's insane. It's insanity. They're gonna kill more people doing this than just let them have a nuke. Um, if they fire it at Israel, what can I say, man? Like should have done better. Should have been better people. Do we ever consider that Iran is actually the promised land? Mr. Albanese largely echoed Wong's, yep, statements. French soldiers stone Abu Dhabi and British base in the wake of Khamenei's death. I think this is a regime which has engaged in international terrorism support, including in Australia. I mean, I can think of a few other countries that have engaged in some international terrorism support too, that we just so happen to be friends with. So, Iranian leaders killed. Okay, this is interesting. So, we killed the Ayatollah. Hang on, sorry. I'm Emperor Ronald Reagan. It's feeling more and more relevant. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, yep, he did. Ali Shamkhani? I don't know. So, Security Affairs Advisor, Secretary of Defense Council, Mohammed Pakpour, Chief of the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps, oh mate, with Ministry of Defense, Chief of Military Bureau of Deceased Supreme Leader. Oh, okay. Uh, Chief of Staff of the Iranian Armed Forces. Oh, and then we got two guys that we guess we just don't know their faces. Head of Intelligence, Chairman of the SPND, Iran's Military Research Wing, and former Chairman of the SPND Military Research Wing. Okay. So we also got the old one, the former one. Great. What we've seen with the recent joint statement of UK, France, and Germany is a concern about the escalation of these attacks by Iran on the region, including by parties which were certainly not part of this action on Iran. Mr. Albanese said Khamenei's death would not be mourned, has a clear position of supporting this action, and it is up to. By the way, this is the most LNP bullshit you've ever heard. This is some fucking typical LNP shit. But he's Labour. What's going on? I thought you guys were supposed to be the peace party. Actually, now that I think about it, not really. They've never really been the peace party. Of course, I want to see the Ayatollahs and Revolutionary Guards power removed because their power has been used not just for international acts, but to oppress their own people. The Prime Minister, we'd hate that. We'd hate for people to be oppressing their own people. The Prime Minister also condemned public memorials for the Ayatollah as not appropriate. Fuck me, man. Free speech is dead. It is gone. I think that overwhelmingly people won't be participating. Okay, but what do some do? Just for the religious purpose. Ms. Ferguson was also joined by Halil Newman, Israel's new ambassador to Australia, who who told the program Israel had full justification with the act, of course. We acted in order to remove two threats. The first one is the nuclear issue, and the second one off. I don't know if that's how you've done that. And again, of the nuclear issue, how many times have we done this? How many times are we going to bomb this place over and over and over again, thinking we're going to get rid of all of the nuclear shit, and then we find out it did nothing? It either did nothing or it did do something, and then they're lying about us that we need to do it again. Lying to us about having to need to do it again. Iran was planning to build a stockpile of thousands of missiles and then launch them at one go. It's very difficult for a country to survive such attack. Fuck me dead. are you saying? Okay. Oh yeah, I wanted to bring up the fact as well that I've kind of saw this shit happening as soon as Maduro got kidnapped, and uh, Albo basically just fucking greenlit, well, not greenlit, but sort of just gave the whole thing a green tick, and it just was like, yeah, cool, good enough, yep, whatever, we don't care. We'll accept all of the bullshit that America has been peddling lately, that really the Republicans have been peddling about Maduro, about Venezuela, about the drugs, about this and about that. We're just gonna accept it. We're just gonna accept it all. So this cunt has no fucking standards anymore. He has no. I think this year, which by the way, I did see a meme or something where it said that Trump has so far bombed more places, that being 9 different countries in this one year. This one year, he's bombed 9 different countries. That's insane. That's more than a lot of presidents that have done in their entire term. But that's okay. Our Prime Minister is all good with it. So, yeah, I think this year is the year, like, up till this point, Albo had proven himself that he had no spine and no real strong stance to stand on when it came to Israel. Now he's kind of proven that they have no strong stance to stand when it comes to America. We are their lapdog. We are the lapdog that they can fucking play fetch with every now and then. It's fucking disturbing. Like, we've always been a bit like this, you know? We've always had our problems with either being England's little bitch or being America's little bitch. But this is insane. This is the most explicit we've ever seen it, I think. Like, and again, it's from the Labour Party. The Labour Party was supposed to be like, you know, the Independence Party, like Australian independence, was supposed to be like Australian republicanism, supposed to be, as in like getting rid of the monarchy. It was supposed to be about not going to war. It's supposed to be about, you know, like not even, I'm not even bothering, I'm just talking from a foreign policy standpoint or like a Australian integrity standpoint. Australia, the Labor Party was the party that believed Australian republicanism, let's get rid of the monarchy. Let's not just go to war over unnecessary bullshit. I mean, you know, sometimes they were participating in the lies, but nonetheless, they at least did a better job. They would be the party that would bring soldiers home. They would be the party that, yeah, didn't want to just meddle in everyone's shit. And granted, we're not the ones meddling in it. We're just playing the lapdog role for America to do it. But again, it's never been more. It's never been as opaque. Wait, is opaque the right term? Is it never been as transparent? Is what I'm trying to say. All right, now I'm going to look at some videos because I'm hungry and I should be eating. And ABC, I should be fine to play some ABC. I doubt I'm going to get content ID'd for playing ABC. Let me just make sure it's not too loud.
Warning that a big wave of attacks is yet to come in the US-Israeli war with Iran after another dramatic day of fighting across the region. Iran has targeted a major gas plant in Qatar and an oil refinery in Saudi Arabia as world fuel prices begin to spike. US fighter jets have been mistakenly shot down over Kuwait, while Israel has begun a barrage of attacks on what it's dubbed Hezbollah targets throughout Lebanon.
A limited number of flights have been able to leave the UAE, but thousands more are being cancelled across the region. Let's go to our correspondent, Barbara Miller, who is in Washington, D.C. Barbara, we've just heard US President Donald Trump lay out his rationale for striking Iran. Tell us about it.
Look, he took a few minutes at the start of what was a ceremony to hand out a few medals at the White House to essentially make the case as to why he had launched Operation Epic Fury. He said that Iran had ignored warnings that it should not try and start to rebuild its nuclear program. And then he talked about its ballistic missile capabilities and said that its long-range missiles would soon be able to reach America. Many experts doubt that. But Donald Trump said, James, that this was an intolerable threat, a colossal threat to America, and that they had taken the last best chance to take this action. He also had some interesting comments about the possible timeline of this military action in Iran.
Whatever the time is, it's okay. Whatever it takes, we will always, and we have right from the beginning, we projected 4 to 5 weeks, but we have capability to go far longer than that. We'll do it. Whatever somebody said today, they said, oh, well, if the president wants to do it really quickly, after that, he'll get bored. I don't get bored.
I think also interesting to talk about what he didn't say in those comments. He didn't talk about why he thought that he was able to take that action without congressional approval. There are some members of Congress still pushing for some kind of approval mechanism to be voted on in the next few days. Whether they have the support for that or not is a very big question. He also didn't talk about regime change, and we're having somewhat mixed messages from the administration on whether that in fact is an aim of Operation Epic Fury. We heard
I love that that's what it's called, Epic Fury. It's such a Trump name. It doesn't even have to have been named because of Trump. It's such a Trump name. That is such a Trump fucking name.
Earlier from the Secretary of War, as he's now called, Pete Hegseth, saying that this is not a regime change war, but it sure did change the regime, he claimed. Secretary Hegseth also was at pains to say that this was not going to be an endless war, that this was laser focused. It was not going to be like Iraq, for example. They weren't going to get bogged down in the forever wars of previous administrations.
Now we got Trump himself. Hell yeah. I didn't even think about this. All right, the 4 goals of Operation Epic Fury. Let's fucking go, Trump. I am waiting. I am keen. Ow, fuck. I rolled my fucking wheel on my toe. Ow. I'm keen for this.
We provide a brief update on Operation Epic Fury. Today, the United States military continues to carry out large-scale combat operations in Iran to eliminate the grave threats posed to America by this terrible terrorist regime. Following our obliteration of Iran's nuclear program in Operation Midnight Hammer a short while ago, we warned Iran not to make any attempt to rebuild at a different location because they were unable to use the ones that we so powerfully blew up. But they ignored those warnings and refused to cease their pursuit of nuclear weapons. In addition, the regime's conventional ballistic missile program was growing rapidly and dramatically, and this posed a very clear, colossal threat to America and our forces stationed overseas. The regime already had missiles capable of hitting Europe and our bases, both local and overseas, and would soon have had missiles capable of reaching our beautiful America. The purpose of this fast-growing missile program was to shield their nuclear weapon development and make it extraordinarily difficult for anyone to stop them from making these highly forbidden by us nuclear weapons. We were the ones that were complaining. We were the ones that wanted it stopped. But everybody was behind us. They just didn't have the courage to say so. An Iranian regime armed with long-range missiles and nuclear weapons would be an intolerable threat to the Middle East, but also to the American people. Our country itself would be under threat, and it was very nearly under threat. I was very proud to have knocked out the Iran nuclear deal by President Barack Hussein.
How can you say that right now?
How can you say that? Literally in the deal, it was going to make it so that the Iranians had to allow US like arms inspectors in. Like they would have had to. They had to. Oh
Obama,
God.
that was a horrible, horrible, dangerous document. They would have had nuclear weapons 3 years ago, and they would have used them.
They would have used them.
But I'll not let that happen. For almost 47 years, this regime has been attacking the United States and killing Americans. Every time you see someone with missing arms and legs or a face that's been absolutely shattered violently, it was almost certainly caused by an Iran roadside bomb. They were put there by General Soleimani, who was the father of the roadside bomb. Very proudly, he thought, but I terminated him.
What? The father of the roadside bomb. I'm gonna be honest, bro. I think that's the IRA, if anyone. What are you on about?
In my first term. This was our last best chance to strike what we're doing right now and eliminate the intolerable threats posed by this sick and sinister regime. And they are indeed sick and sinister. Our objectives are clear. First, we're destroying Iran's missile capabilities, and you see that happening on an hourly basis, and their capacity to produce brand new ones, and pretty good ones they make. Second, we're annihilating their navy. We've knocked out already 10 ships. They're at the bottom of the sea. Third, we're ensuring that the world's #1 sponsor of terror can never obtain a nuclear weapon, never going to have a nuclear weapon. I said that from the beginning. They're never going to have a nuclear weapon. They were on the road to getting one legitimately through a deal that was signed foolishly by our country. And finally, we're ensuring that the Iranian regime cannot continue to arm, fund, and direct terrorist armies outside of their borders. And we thought we had a deal, but then they backed out. And they
I just
came
want to
back,
say
and we
he
thought we
looks
had a
like
deal, and they
shit.
backed out. I said, you can't deal with these people. You got to do it the right way. Today, we grieve for the 4 heroic American service members who have been killed in action and send our love and support.
Remember when he said, remember when he said, some of you are gonna die. All I can say is, death happens in war. Bro, he doesn't give a fuck about the soldiers. He does not give a fuck. He left, he skipped down on the Vietnam War with bone spurs. He doesn't care.
To their families.
Also, can I just say, this is just a side. Hang on, can you see this on? I don't know if my thing's in the way of this. Yeah, cool, you can. So see how they've got the flag pin. You know what I want to see some of these people do? Like, especially Trump. I want to start seeing new flag pins, you know? Like there's still the American one. Maybe you could add some of the states. I don't know. But like, I want to see that whole lapel covered in them. Maybe like he could do one for each time he bombs someone or like each time he invades a country. I just, I'm getting very tired of just seeing the one. I want to see that like I want to see some fucking dedication to these flags, I want to see some more. Like where are the flags behind him? Come on. I want to see some more fucking flag pins on his lapels.
In their memory, we continue this mission with ferocious, unyielding resolve to crush the threat this terrorist regime poses to the American people, and a threat indeed it is. We have the strongest and most powerful by far military in the world, and we will easily prevail. We're already substantially ahead of our time projections, but whatever the time is, it's okay. Whatever it takes, we will always, and we have right from the beginning, we projected 4 to 5 weeks.
Why
But
did I even bother reading out that shit before, man? Why didn't I just leave it to it being Trump? Hang on, have I got? Yeah, I've got the. I'll just leave it. Surely it's only just showing it for me. The yellow tint, for I don't know if it's showing it for anyone else, but yeah, I've got the yellow tint thing. I might actually turn that off because then it might help me not yawn.
But we have capability to go far longer than that. We'll do it. Whatever somebody said today, they said, oh, well, if the president wants to do it really quickly. After that, he'll get bored. I don't get bored. There's nothing boring about this. Do you agree with that, Pete? I don't think there's anything, Mr. General. I think there's nothing boring about it.
I don't get bored with war. But as long as I still get to stay the peace, President.
Somebody actually said from the media, I think he'll get bored after about a week or two. No, we don't get bored. I never get bored. If I got bored, I wouldn't be standing here right now. I guarantee you that, to go through what I had to go through. We also projected 4 weeks to terminate the military leadership, and as you know, that was done in about an hour, so we're ahead of schedule there by a lot. But please join me in thanking every American service member who bravely is standing in harm's way. They really are incredible, and I just want to thank you. We have a lot of them right here. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, that's enough of that. We can move on from that one. My hair. All right, then we got ABC. War in Middle East wrap. Trump won't rule out US boots on ground. Yeah, so this was 7 hours ago, so not that long.
Israel has launched a fresh round of strikes into Lebanon as the widening war in the Middle East shows no signs of abating. The Israeli military says it's striking Hezbollah command centres and weapons storage facilities in the capital Beirut. Earlier strikes by Israel killed 52 people and left 150 wounded, according to the Lebanese Health Ministry. The strikes are in response to Hezbollah attacks in northern Israel. Hezbollah is backed by Iran. Lebanon's government says it's banned Hezbollah from any further military activity, demanding that those responsible for firing at Israel be brought to justice. Meanwhile, the US and Israel continue to launch strikes towards Iran. The Iranian Red Crescent Society says the US-led operation has killed at least 555 people. US President Donald Trump says the campaign will likely take several more weeks and has defended the operation amid legal scrutiny, saying it was America's last best chance to strike. He's also not ruling out US boots on.
Wasn't that the case with the last one? It was their last best chance. How many chances do we get? Because it seems like we've got plenty.
The ground. Speaking for the first time since the military operation began, the US president outlined his objectives.
First, we're...
Oh, okay, we're going through that again. All right. Israel Hezbollah trade fires is Lebanese PM slams the Iran-backed militant group. Yeah, because obviously they don't get along with Hezbollah.
Well, in the course of the last few hours, we have seen major strikes by Israeli forces across Lebanon, in particular the Lebanese capital Beirut, hitting in particular that area in the southern suburbs, Dahia, which is known to be Hezbollah's stronghold in the capital, of a key interest for the Israeli military.
Now, just looking. It's kind of hard to tell, but I feel like a lot of these buildings already aren't looking too good. Maybe it's just I can't tell.
In these latest strikes was a financial institution linked to the militant group, but we also know it has been targeting claimed Hezbollah weapons sites, weapons stockpiles and command centres, and also trying to kill senior members of the militant group. This all started last night when Hezbollah started to launch rockets towards Israel in solidarity with Iran, trying to extract some revenge, it says, for the killing of Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei over the weekend. We know also, though, that it was met with a fierce response then, and that has continued throughout the course of the day. It's led to many people fleeing the Dahia area with nowhere else to go, no money to find alternate accommodation, and many of them who've spoken to the ABC are also now effectively sleeping rough. They are hiding out in parks because they have nowhere else to go, and they're quite...
Oh. the parallels between the worlds that I see and the worlds we watch going on in the world. I didn't really know how to word that better, but you get the point I'm making.
Critical that the Lebanese government has not been helping them. The Lebanese government, for its part, has come out and rejected this move by Hezbollah, saying it is not the right approach. It is trying to ban Hezbollah from doing this any further and is also demanding it hand over its weapons. But you'd have to say, with the conduct of Hezbollah to this point, that may well be a big ask from the government there. Israel has been hitting Lebanon repeatedly over the course of the last 18 months or so since that ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah came into force in late 2024. So this is not necessarily new, but certainly the ferocity and the intensity of those attacks is far beyond what we have seen on an almost daily or every 2-day basis over that period of time since that ceasefire was ostensibly brought into force. Here's some of what the Lebanese Prime Minister had to say earlier today when he was rejecting this attempt or this intervention by Hezbollah, saying that it needs to stop what it's doing.
It affirms that the decision of war and peace is exclusively in its hands, which necessitates the immediate prohibition of all Hezbollah's security and military activities as being outside the law, and obliging it to hand over its weapons to the Lebanese state.
In addition to those strikes in Lebanon, we have also seen the US and Israel continuing to attack sites across Iran. Huge explosions being recorded in the Iranian capital, Tehran, with large plumes of smoke visible on the horizon in some of the videos which are making it out through social media. And we do need to stress that a lot of the information coming out of Iran at the moment is via social media because of those strict restrictions on freedom of the press and also the reprisals that individuals can face if they do share information outside of the country. We've been speaking to some human rights monitors about exactly what the scale of the damage and the destruction is on the ground in Iran, and in particular the death toll. And one of those organisations, Hengao, is putting that figure at around 1,500 over the last 3 days of strikes, 200 of those.
But this was because Iran did however many killings of protesters, so it's all justified. It's all fine.
Those people are listed as civilians, according to Hengao, and they are very worried that that is.
What's just a few more dead? What's just a few more dead civilians? No, I don't see an issue there.
Only going to get worse in coming days, particularly as Donald Trump promises a new and bigger wave of attacks. There have been Iranian missiles also coming into Israel, forcing millions of people into shelters throughout the day. We were at a cemetery in Beit Shemesh where a funeral was being held for 2 of the victims of an Iranian strike the day prior, and the warning sirens rang out in that cemetery at 4.
I'm not gonna say, oh goddamn ABC, how dare you be biased? But isn't it just a bit obvious? Like the ABC has the ability to view any of this kind of shit if it's happening in Iran.
Force people to crouch on the ground to seek shelter where they could as those rockets were being intercepted, those missiles were being intercepted by Israel.
I mean, hey, did you want to show the videos of the Israelis dancing and partying out in their bomb shelters?
Air defence systems overhead with incredibly loud explosions heard right through that valley where Beit Shemesh is. The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu also visited the site of that strike later in the day, and he had this criticism of Iran.
When I stand here in a place that was bombarded by the terrorists in Tehran against innocent civilians, you see the difference. The tyrants of Tehran target civilians. We target.
You're a fucking scumbag. Go fuck yourself. I'm skipping from that.
And also a hospital in recent times. We also know that Israel has been condemned for launching these strikes in the first instance, the UN going so far as to say it has breached international law, along with the United States not getting approval to do so. I put that position to the Israeli President Isaac Herzog earlier today. His simple response was that there has been no breach of international law.
Oh, my concerns have been quelled. Don't have any issues anymore. I'm not worried at all about what could be potentially happening. Fuck me dead. I still stand ABC. I still love the ABC. You'll never really get me like hating on the ABC because like, they're always going to be better than corpo media. But this is the one issue. This is the one issue. Trying to think of another one. I can't even. It's really just this one issue that they really do drop the ball on, and it becomes very obvious how where their biases line. All right, so what's this? Suspicious poly market bet wins 1 million. Yeah, okay.
A number
Let's
of
go for
punters
it.
have reportedly made about $1 million by correctly predicting when the United States would strike Iran at the
I heard about
weekend.
this.
Lillian is here to tell us more. Goodness me, Lillian, what do we know about these bets?
Yeah, this is something that you might have missed with so much news coming out of the Middle East, but it's really, really interesting. About $529 million was reportedly traded on the platform Polymarket in bets on when the US strikes on Iran would occur. Now, one firm called Bubble Wraps, which analyses suspicious behaviour on the crypto market, identified.
I will say, I really fucking hate poly market, like, or just prediction markets as a general thing. I mean, like, look at that. Look at that. How many gold cards will Trump sell in 2025? Like, what the fuck? I do find it funny that there is a bigger amount for zero, so that is kind of funny. Oh yeah, because it's gold cards, the replacement for green cards. I actually would probably put it between the 1 to 100 because you're gonna get some rich cunt. Anyways, I fucking hate this shit. But that being said, being a lefty with the perspective of like everything we believe ends up being true, it's just we're cursed with the fact that we found it out. We believed it to be the case sooner than everyone else. Everyone else had to kind of catch up. It does sometimes tempt me, like maybe just try it. Maybe just give it a shot because I feel like I wouldn't do too bad. I feel like it'd be the one thing I could do well at betting with, but I fucking despise gambling. I could never do it. I think I would decompose in the process. Morally, I just cannot do it. Oh, I like this. I like how we've got who's who's uh whose desktop are we saying here?
Had 6 accounts in particular which correctly predicted the timing of the strikes and made about $1 million from those bets. Now, these were all accounts which were funded, generally speaking, in the 24 hours leading up to the strikes.
I really do not understand how that's another thing for me. I don't understand how betting works. Like, why is it? Is that because if you buy no, you get 1 cent more? No, but it costs you 1 cent. Because it's not that likely? See, I don't understand how it works. I would fail at the get-go. I wouldn't do it.
They had pretty much only placed bets on February the 28th, being the date of the strikes, and they selected yes to those bets just hours before the strikes. So that's prompted concerns about insider trading. But I also wanted to tell you a little bit more about what Polymarket is, because some of our listeners might not actually know.
No, well, I don't. I mean, I just think it's bleak that you can bet on this and that B, you would.
It does feel a bit bleak. It is a bit bleak to think that we are betting on the chances of us bombing countries. Makes you think a lot about where things will lead.
Be and trying to time the market to get an insider trading benefit.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting kind of platform. It's actually banned in or blocked in Australia at the moment because the Media and Communications Authority found that it was essentially a betting platform but wasn't licensed as such. What Polymarket is...
Yeah, because see, I probably will get a few details here wrong, but it's not considered a gambling site because it's a prediction market. That's what it was found in a court case in America. I can't remember the exact court case, but yeah, there was a court case in America that basically determined, no, it's not a gambling site, it's a prediction market site. But that's just for America, obviously. So that meant they didn't have to actually get a license because It's not gambling. And see, they wanted it not to be gambling because that way they can do it wherever in America. They don't have to worry about, being set up in like and exclusively running in Las Vegas. So that is kind of funny that they just can't even do it here because it would be kind of an admission, I guess. I mean, I don't know the actual reasons, but that's kind of the implicit idea that I'm getting from that.
Essentially allows you to do is basically bet on literally anything. So instead of just the AFL or the NRL, you can place bets on anything from when an election is going to be called to where Taylor Swift's private jet is going to go next. And that's prompted concerns from regulators around the country. It is headquartered in the United States where it's regulated on a financial market, but it was banned there for a while until recently when it was relaunched in the United States under the Trump administration. And in fact, Donald Trump's son, Donald Trump Jr., serves in an advisory role to Polymarket and its rival Kalshi. So clearly they are gaining influence in the US. And if you watch TV in the US, you might even see CNN post updates on, the odds on particular global events happening on these platforms. So they're really growing in influence.
We have nothing to say about it, though. Well, I mean, I guess they kind of implied a little bit that it's kind of bleak, but I would say a lot more than bleak. It's dystopian. It's full fucking dystopian, if you ask me. Where's my mouse? Here it is. All right. I'm gonna quickly go to the toilet. I'll just play this in the meantime.
Well, in the aftermath of the death of Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, attention has turned to who will succeed him. While the power vacuum is likely to be filled soon, there's still concern among the global Iranian diaspora for family and friends caught up in the conflict. Tara Kangalu is an Iranian-born journalist and Middle East.
Hang on. Here we go. Hopefully that is better. Apparently my mic was too quiet. All right. Just double checking that it's not muted either.
The East expert, and she joins me now from London. Tara, good to have you with us today. Now, numerous reports and analysis are emerging that Ali Larijani, the head of Iran's powerful Supreme Security Council, will likely be the country's next supreme leader. Do you believe that's the likely scenario, at least in the short term?
Thank you for having me in this very fast-moving and precarious story that's really having the entire region ablaze. About Larijani, indeed, he's one of the most powerful figures within the Islamic regime. So anything is on the table. I don't think we're going to see immediately a new supreme leader emerge. The Iranian regime at the moment is in shambles, trying to contain the heavy Israeli strikes against the country and, of course, engage in its retaliatory attacks in the region. But most certainly, Mr. Larijani is someone that, if the regime stays intact and in power in Iran, will most certainly have some role in its future. Mind you that he's a conservative figure. He's a son of a prominent a cleric. His wife actually is the daughter of one of the founders of the Islamic Revolution. He was a confidant of the supreme leader. He was part of the nuclear negotiations. So some sources in Iran are telling me that, again, if if the regime stands in some shape or form intact, he might lead the sort of foreign policy file. But I think we are steps from that. I think at the moment, the way these waves of attacks have been hitting Iran's infrastructures, we can easily say that the regime has been infiltrated on its intelligence, military, and leadership apparatus, and they have taken a blow indeed.
Yeah, so that begs the question, whether the regime, in whatever form it takes up, will be doing so in the capacity that it did as of 3 days ago.
The regime is going full force, and we have to understand the complexity of Iran's IRGC apparatus. The country, of course, has its military that's tasked for the overall security of the country's borders and engaging in conventional war. But then it has the paramilitary, the IRGC forces that have an extremely powerful missile arsenal. And the drones that, for instance, we've seen in the war in Ukraine, the Shahed drones have all been supplied by Iran, and they are going in full force. And mind you, that within the IRGC apparatus, there are multiple layers. So the idea that we think the Iranian regime and government is sort of a monolithic, linear system, it's not. It's quite complex. And mind you, that they have been prepared for this day. They saw this coming, and while over 48 heads of state and government officials and IRGC figures have been killed and hit, they seem to be continuing to move forward. Now, to what end? Is the intention to pressure the Gulf countries to then have them put pressure on the United States and Israel to cease fire? That is yet to be seen. But as of last night, I will say President Trump, who has been, by the way, taking calls with reporters, said we have hit multiple targets, sank 9 ships, and have contained IRGC's entire military command and control center.
Yes. And Trump is, putting now the onus on the Iranian people to create or to topple the Islamic regime. Is it realistic for civilians who oppose the regime within Iran to challenge the regime, given its military prowess? The IRGC is still a force to be reckoned with, at least within Iran's borders.
Excellent question. And I want our viewers to understand that Iran is a country of 90 million. And I can easily tell you that at least 20 million of this large population are tied to the regime, whether that be ideologically or financially. Just the previous election, we had 13 million Iranians vote for an extremely conservative figure. Okay, so there are people in this country that are tied to this regime. Now, some would argue that half of them would jump ship. Okay, so let's put that aside. Then you have millions of people in this country that have been choked, isolated, and repressed by the brutal forces at home, as we saw back in January, with thousands killed. And these are the people who want to move beyond the regime. And in the words of a woman that I spoke with just yesterday, she's been part of the protest. She said, there is a sea of blood between us, meaning ordinary civilians and people, and the regime. And we want this page to turn. So indeed, the majority of the Iranian people would want to move beyond the regime. The big question is how. Many of them are confused. We have to understand that Iran's economy is in shambles. The country is experiencing a financial free fall. People's purchasing powers is at its low.
I just had a thought while I went to the toilet, mainly in reference to the prediction market, poly market, Cauchy kind of thing that we were just looking at. Why don't we get to see any prediction market predictions, gambles, whatever, on like who do we think will be the next CEO shot? Now, just hear me out here. Hear me out here. All right. We had like what was his name? Mangione, right? Now, if someone had betted, not that Mangione himself would have been the guy, but if someone had betted, CEO of a healthcare company shot, or even just assassinated. Now you're gonna make some fucking good money off that. I bet. So like, I'm just curious to see why don't we get any of those cool little predictions? Like, do you get to just get? Can you? Because I've never been on it. Can you create your own prediction? Can you just fucking hiya, go at it. Like, just have your own fucking ideas thrown at it. I see. This is the thing. They wouldn't let me be on there because I would come up with shit that would actually probably encourage someone to do something, and So, but I'm just thinking, it would be an interesting idea. I'm gonna get myself banned off this thing so quickly. I'm gonna be doing migrations between like YouTube to Twitch, back to YouTube, back to Twitch. Actually, you can't really do that, can you? You'll just end up being gone for good. Anyways.
Lowest point, and over 50% of the population are living under the poverty line. So at a time that people are struggling to put bread on the table, and on top of that being repressed perpetually by their regime, the idea of them with empty hands taking control and somehow forming a new government is a bit wishful, perhaps, in absence of a strong opposition force within the country. And I say within the country because I want to underscore that any form of dissent have been quailed over the years, and some of Iran's brightest who can be decision makers in a secular democracy in Iran are in prison. So the situation is far from linear, but rather complex. And then you have the region. And quite frankly, I've covered the Middle East extensively. And if you ask ordinary people, they will tell you that history has shown us that bombs and airstrikes have not brought peace, prosperity, and democracy anywhere. But again, sentiment in Iran among most people is that we want to move beyond this regime. How that's possible and feasible, they yet to know and see. And they know one.
It's kind of, I don't know exactly what we talked about, but like, it's kind of just what we're seeing here. It's kind of remind me of like just it was like the day of or the day after his the Ayatollah's death, and there was that video of a lot of Iranians in Palestine Square. It was a place that seemed like it was actually named after Palestine and everything. Anyways, and they were saying death to America, death to Israel, and people were getting, and I was seeing so many, I'm gonna just say it, Westerners getting like up in arms about it, being like, oh my God, see, this is why we've been saying they're insane. It's like, bro, you just killed their fucking leader. What were you expecting their response to be? Not everyone in Iran is like a revolutionary against Iran or against the Ayatollah or whatever. Like, there's a reason why. It kind of reminds you that these people don't really understand how like autocratic systems and autocratic I was about to say companies, but autocratic I was about to say it again, autocratic governments work, where like a big reason why an autocratic government can be autocratic is because there's a large enough of the population that actually does support it. It's just that they're a bit fucked in the head because of what they want the government to do and who they want it to be done to. Um, Not to downplay anything, it's just like, what did you expect? Of course they were going to go out and do their usual fucking death to America, death to Israel. It's just a bit of like, you can't do one thing and not expect the consequences of it. Like, then you're just being a child, in my opinion. Because only a child, you can understand why they wouldn't recognize immediately the consequences of said actions.
Thing that if the system remains, perhaps the conservative powers that would take control would be even more ruthless. And this is according to people that I've been speaking with on the ground.
Yes, Taro, if I can ask you briefly, just because we are running out of time, so many pictures of the diaspora we have seen in London, where you are, in Australia, where I am, but also in the US, celebrating the downfall of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. But the regime is still in control there.
It's kind of weird, isn't it, don't you think? Got all this Iranian diaspora in Western countries cheering for all of this. So keen that the Ayatollah is finally dead. Meanwhile, their countrymen and women are dying left and right. Kind of makes you question where their stake in all of this is. And, I'm not going to say like, oh, how dare they? They're just evil people, because some of them could legitimately, or a lot of them, most of them could legitimately just be kind of deluded into the idea that America was ever going to do a good thing for them. Like America never, like, this is the thing. When you're dealing with America, even if you are ostensibly the good side between like in a civil war, in a revolution, and you do a deal with America for support, you are doing a deal with the devil. In the sense of, yeah, they will sort of help you. They will also just kill a lot of civilians in the process.
What do the diaspora expect the US president to do right now?
Some people in the diaspora, the images that we're seeing, of course, have been supportive of Donald Trump's actions because they believe somehow in this vision that he's going to bring peace and stability and democracy to Iran.
See, she doesn't buy the bullshit. She doesn't even buy it.
And the Iranian people. How that's possible, we yet to see. I think we're all very unclear as to what Mr. Trump's plan is. He said that he is ready to talk to Iran's leaders, but at the
Wait, the ones that he killed, or the ones that are going to have to step up into the roles of the ones that he killed? Oh my God, make Iran great again, so mega. Or is it MIGA? There you go, there's another one. Yep, they want to bring back King Reza. Oh, well, maybe not bring back, but King Reza Pahlavi. Yeah, they just want the Shah back. That's what it is. They want the Shah back. These are people who are probably, well, they're the descendants now. But like, these are people who were doing pretty well off the capitalist dictatorship system that was happening in Iran at the time, up until the Iranian Revolution. And then the Iranian Revolution happened. There was a lot of squabbling back and forth because there was a whole heap of different factions involved in that. There was a lot of socialists who kind of got their backs stabbed by the Islamists, which is kind of the problem that you have if you ever try and have left and right, especially far left and far right unity. So if anyone ever asks me why, you have a few things in common issues wise when it comes to the far right, why don't you want to work with them? This is exactly what I think of. Not this, just what happened in Iran is exactly what I think of, is the fact that the socialists got backstabbed, kind of literally. But they just want the Shah back, and now his prince son.
Same time, he said future leaders, some of them have been hit. A lot of wait and see, but the diaspora is, of course, longing for their country to become free, and so that many of them perhaps would go back. But that's a wish that almost all Iranians have: a free, prosperous Iran. How we get there? Lots of confusion and lack of clarity.
All right, Tara Kangalu in London, many thanks for sharing your thoughts with us on the program.
All right. So it's the security chief who's now going to be their next leader. I mean, I guess that's because, like, who was left? Who was, like, left, to be honest? They're going to have to move a whole level of, like, politicians and whatnot, upper level, just to replace. Like, it's insane. Like, I'm pretty sure they also killed one of the... I just read before that they killed one of the security guys. Or two of them, I think. But anyways. I did have a few of these Sky News ones, just because I kind of wanted to see how Sky News was approaching this whole thing, but part of me also just doesn't really care enough, because it's Sky News. Okay, I'm not going to read, we're just going to do a little list.
National rules-based order.
Do you not have a balance?
The way that the Israeli and US forces have carried this out, does it undermine the rules-based order?
Not at all. First of all, there were many diplomatic efforts put in in order to try and resolve the situation. Iran just...
Right, so this is Israel's ambassador to Australia. Okay, so this is the guy to Australia. So a cunt.
Enacted delay tactics and all kinds of methods in order to delay and get out and try to ignore the need. There were existential threats coming out of Iran which needed to be removed. All kinds of methods were tried to be implemented in order to resolve this issue in diplomatic means. Now, we have an armed conflict ongoing, so it is the right and even the obligation of any country to act in self-defense, according to international law, to remove the existential threats.
Has it worsened, though, in recent times? Was it an imminent threat? Because Iran's had these ballistic missiles and been working on them for many, many years.
Yes.
I'll tell you why it was time sensitive. There were two or three aspects that were developing according to our intelligence sources. The first was that after the Midnight Hammer attack, we managed to take out, together with the United States, we managed to take out a lot of their facilities and infrastructure and enriched uranium.
But we still had to do another bomb. We had to do another bombing over the nuclear shit. Don't. We did that for the nuclear stuff, and we're doing this also for the nuclear stuff, but now it's some additional stuff because, of course, we did the previous thing because of the nuclear stuff, even though we've done many things beforehand for many decades because of the nuclear stuff. Man, it's almost as if they think you just forget.
But they had full intention to go forward and even rapidly develop, enrich uranium and develop a military uranium bomb, in fact, and also to dig it deep under the ground so that it would not be able to attack it. They'd have immunity, one could say, from any future attack. These two aspects which came out of intelligence led us to the understanding that we have a time-sensitive issue and must be dealt with, otherwise we have an imminent threat.
It's also been the focus, as you would know, and many of our viewers know, for Prime Minister Netanyahu. This has been his number one international focus for decades.
He is a world leader who has...
It has been. Almost obsessively so. Almost as if this has been the project since the get-go. Since what, fucking 1979? Oh, God.
He's been talking about this for 4 decades. Since he began politics, he was one of the first to,
Sorry, I just wanted to also add, because I know I'm going to forget this at any point otherwise. It has now been 6 US service members killed in Iran conflict. But the US military says that was at 4 o'clock. So 4 o'clock here in Queensland. So we've now added an extra half of dead soldiers. US soldiers.
Canary in the mine calling for this threat, which is growing and growing, and then it became a world community threat. This is the threat not only against Israel, it's against the West, it's against our values in general. So I'll just continue the ballistic missiles in the...
Just ignore the fact that there's a lot of people in the West who are kind of going, yeah, my values say that you guys are not cool. My values say that you guys are like a threat to Western values.
Is an imminent threat because they intended to stockpile thousands of missiles and then send them in one go. That is an existential threat to any country. We have the most sophisticated methods of interception developed by Israel and the United States, which is now being bought by the entire world from Israel and the United States. But these methods cannot handle thousands of rockets coming at the same time. That's why we see some of the attacks that have succeeded in Israel and the United States. So it was an existential threat. If they launched thousands of missiles at the same time, it could completely devastate the state of Israel or other countries.
And how much is regime change a focus here? How much of that is
I mean, come on. Wasn't that kind of the whole point? It's just regime change without even trying to do much of a regime change. They basically just killed the leader and went, "You guys figure it out. It's up to the civilians. Civilians, rise up."
priority of this?
Of course, we'll all be happy if the regime changes. I don't think anybody in the West...
I want to apologize as well for my squeaky as fuck chair. I am actually getting a new one. Because it's fucking insane how squeaky this shit is.
should cry about that. But it's not the full objective. That's up to the Iranian people. The objective is to remove existential threats, which is the ballistic missiles and the nuclear aspect. It's up to the people of Iran to vote in their leadership.
Finally, I'll let you go. I would be remiss of me not to ask you about the rise of anti-Semitism in Australia. We have a Royal Commission underway in the wake of the Bondi atrocity, yes, which shocked many around the world, certainly in Australia and Israel.
Yes.
You've come here now at a time where the bilateral relationship has been at a low point. How do you want to see Australia, Israel?
Has it? Has it been at a low point? In my perspective, we've become more Israeli-ified. No, I'm not going to say it like that. That sounds a bit weird. But like we've become more linked in with Israel more than ever. I don't. It's fucking Sky News framing. It's because it's Albo. It's Albo, and whatever Albo does, it means that it's the end of the world for Sky News. Also, that's interesting. Iran says Strait of Hormuz closed.
Relations over the next 1, 2, 3 years.
Well, two different topics. I'll separate them. Our relations with Australia, you know, we're natural allies. It's only natural that we should work closely together as full-blown allies. We share the same values. We have historic relations.
I strongly disagree with that, my friend. My values are let's not kill children. Your values seem to be all kids off all bars on hold. You know, fucking go for it. So I don't know about that, brother. I don't know about that one, mate.
Relations of working together. We even fought together in freeing from the Ottoman Empire after the First World War. We are natural allies sharing the same.
Wait. Of the First World War, Israel wasn't even a thing at the time. Oh, he's trying to connect them. He's trying to connect us so that we feel further entwined. Oh, they're fucking scum.
Values, and we should work closely together.
So
that's regarding our relations, and I believe that we should get things on track and improve our relations and even go into strategic dialogues, which will be for the benefit.
The Anzacs would be all for this. Don't worry about anything that you've heard in the books about the Anzacs. They would have been so for all of this shit. Fuck. Oh, God. You don't hate them enough. I'll tell you that much. You do not hate these people enough.
Of Australia and Israel. Regarding anti-Semitism, of course, it's a grave concern. It's grown all over the world. There's some people who think that being against Israel is not anti-Semitism, but it is. It's a camouflage of anti-Semitism. There's only one Jewish democratic state in the world, and that's Israel. So this issue must be dealt with, and I praise the government of Australia for taking a harsh stand and implementing the laws about the hate speech. And that.
Yeah, of course you would. Of course you would love the hate speech laws. Would expect nothing else. Oh, come on. Don't bail out of me now. I have any glitch? What's going on? Everything's working on OBS. Will this work? Oh, I don't know if I can use that yet. Let me see, will this work? Yeah, it works. Is this just a Sky News thing? Let me see if I were to refresh. Poor ratings have been compounded by a prolonged competitors. Sucked in them. Sorry to hear the Jackie was being. Fuck, I love the chaser. What is Bender saying? If there is any Muslim terror attacks on Australian soil from here on, it is the direct result of a federal government mass immigration. Just so we know, I'm just saying it right now. He's talking about the World Economic Forum. Bender's fucking doing some anti-Semitic shit. There is no other way I can interpret that, because unless you are approaching that from a socialist lefty perspective of they're a problem because of capitalist interest, what else is your issue with the World Economic Forum? It is literally just capital. It is capitalist interests coming together with world leaders and whatnot, and figuring out what they're going to do next. So watch out for that. Fucking loser. Alright, does Sky News work for me now? If it doesn't work for me now, I'm just going to move on. Yep, doesn't work. Fuck it. Alright, so that was enough of that. That's Iran and Israel. Fucking fuck it all. Not like very strong analysis from me right there, you know. All right, so now I'm going to have a look at Hanson got censured for one of her quality comments of no good Muslims. Now, obviously, it's Hanson. What else do you expect? It's the same bullshit that you get every time with Hanson, like Pauline Hanson saying some shit about how, you know, anti-immigration this, Islam bad that. I mean, it's not that new, but she's gotten censored again. I think this time though, last time she was censored, it was because of doing the burqa thing. But like, she did the burqa thing. She'd already done the burqa thing, so like, it wasn't new, which kind of was what got me. But all right, let's just go into this.
So presume your seat.
A disorderly Senate.
I just got called a bitch by the racist. You happy? They are.
Yeah, you're happy. Lady, you lit that. What are you trying to imply? That all you're getting off with is a slap on the wrist? Is that all you're trying to say? I like that Malcolm Roberts is here behind, kind of going, "Oh, yes, you tell them, Pauline, you tell them, you tell them. Yeah, slap that wrist."
I've given myself a slap. This is a joke.
Grappling with forces tearing.
Look, obviously it's a bit concerning to some folks because of like her rise in popularity lately, this year in general. I'm not really that worried about it because this is what happens every time with Pauline Hanson. She gets a big rise in the polls. She gets a big rise in polling. She gets a bunch of politicians coming to her side because they're seeing her as the big future. And then we start looking at all those candidates, even if like the candidates as well as the politicians, but specifically the candidates, and they all end up having like criminal records, bankruptcy, like really dodgy businesses. Like they all end up having like a fucking closet of skeletons that ends up just dropping it all back down to the bottom anyway. So hit me up when that's no longer the case, because from the looks of it, it is the case again anyway. So I'm not really that concerned. But isn't she good content? She is good content. Like not in a Trump way. She's just, I guess you could say in a little bit of a Trump way.
At Australia's social fabric.
Senator Pauline Hanson is a racist.
I've asked you to withdraw.
I withdraw.
The commotion caused by a motion censuring Pauline Hanson for inflammatory language, suggesting there are no good Muslims.
Condemning an entire religion is not acceptable.
The motion succeeded with the support of 2 Liberal senators, the rest of the coalition critical of the One Nation leader but refusing to censure her.
So this is the thing. If Pauline was at least somewhat consistent, what she could just do is turn around to Penny Wong and be like, yeah, but you guys have been bloody helping Israel bomb all these places in the Middle East, and that's why we're getting all of them, bloody blah. And you can make this weird connection. I wouldn't necessarily agree with like the outcome of a point being anti-immigration, but you could make that argument, and you kind of make them look like fools. But because Pauline actually doesn't have any real backbone principles, it's all just anti-immigration. Like she is anti-immigration first, and everything else second. So like she runs into only having the consistency of being anti-Asian, anti-Muslim, anti-Indian, etc. So it makes it really easy for these guys who clearly don't give a fuck about any of these communities at the end of the day. Um, it makes it really easy for them to do things like censure her or make a big stance about it. And it's like, well, you guys don't really give a fuck either.
Not acceptable.
The motion succeeded with the support of 2 Liberal senators, the rest of the coalition critical of the One Nation leader, but refused. 2 Liberal senators, the rest of the...
Now that's a catwalk. That's a walk right there. Who are all these ones? It's moments like these where when you really realize that there are certain politicians that like you remember, that you take notice of for whatever reasons. They're good at the media, they're good at the social media, they're a good politician. Yeah, there's not much of that anymore, but and then there's so many that you look and you're like, who the fuck are you? Where did you come from?
Coalition critical of the One Nation leader, but refusing to censure her.
My mum's best friend is a Muslim. So I have to say, I think that there are good Muslims in Australia. There was a time when...
Wait, what did you just say? Did you say your best friend or?
But refusing to censure her.
My mum's best friend.
My mum's best friend. I don't even have anything to say on that. That's just funny. Like, I don't even. Yeah, sure thing, Michaela Cash. I'm sure that is definitely the case.
Is a Muslim. So I have to say, I think that there are good Muslims in Australia. There was a time when leaders understood some lines should not be crossed. Now we see a different approach, a race to outflank Senator Hanson.
See, this is the thing again, where it's like, well, no, that's not true. I mean, it was only like what 50 years ago since we ended, well, a little bit more than 50 years ago, I guess now, since we ended the White Australia policy, and racists didn't just stop existing, evidently. So, like, no, there have been politicians and leaders who have been willing to do these things. It's just this weird, like, vague appeal to liberal niceties, civility politics of like, oh, we once were a good country where people just got along, and we knew that there were certain things, certain lines you didn't cross. That's all bullshit.
To the right.
Slamming her second censure in 6 months.
This is a stunt.
The senator stormed
This is a stunt. As opposed to what she does.
out of the chamber.
We came here like just looking for a better life.
As One Nation surges in the polls, the coalition's taking a harder line stance on immigration. Today, ramping up its rhetoric against Australia's so-called ISIS brides and their children.
Well, they are ISIS sympathisers.
I'm so glad they went with Angus Taylor. Because he's such a fucking idiot. He's so fucking dumb. Like, he's not as concerning, I would say, as, like, Peter Dutton. Because, like, how would you put it? Like, Peter Dutton no one ever really liked. But he was the kind of guy that people would look at and go, oh, yeah, but you want to put him on the border. You know, you want to have him in charge of the border because he'd be a tough ass on that. And that's what you need him, where you need him. And it's like, no, you still don't need him there because he's still going to have, like, innocent people fucking killed. But Angus Taylor, he doesn't. Maybe I haven't seen enough of him yet, but I feel like if he's the kind of guy that you go, okay, well, let's start with first learning how to tie our shoelaces, and then we'll get to the conversation that you wanted to have.
Let's be clear.
The families of foreign fighters
Peter Dunnan, I believe, knows how to tie his shoelaces. Angus Taylor, I'm still not ruling that out.
stuck in a Syrian refugee camp are seeking to return to Australia in what's become a political hot potato. Angus Taylor is trying to reclaim.
By the way, here's my take on the whole ISIS bride things. Assuming that they are Australian citizens, they should be allowed to come back. I cannot see, like, that is the only way that you could actually help. From the sounds of it, from what I understand, these are people who have realized at some point that that it was all a load of bullshit. And a lot of them went over when they were young, dumb, believed in some jihadist fucking fantasy. And I imagine a lot of that has been decomposed, has been deconstructed in their head now that they've actually got to partake in it from the woman perspective. But also, I feel like the only way that you can ensure that they are going to de-radicalize, or even to be able to learn a bit more about how we can de-radicalize people here at home, we need to be able to talk to these people. We need to be able to engage with them. That's my take. Maybe I don't know enough about it.
The voters drifting to One Nation while insisting the coalition is not One Nation light. The government is doing its best to draw the comparison, challenging the new Liberal leader to rule out preference deals with the minor party. Jane Norman, ABC News, Canberra.
It's going to bite you in the ass when you become the minor party, motherfuckers. I'm going to be honest. I'm okay with One Nation taking the major party title. I hate the LNP so fucking much. I actually might not hate One Nation anywhere near as much as I hate the LNP, because I take into consideration the role they have played through Australian history. And in my opinion, it's not a great one. It's been a very intentional, corpo-funded, corpo-backed, corpo-infiltrating, US infiltrating, UK infiltrating mechanism to fuck with our politics. And give them some credit, they have done a brilliant job at it. So I'm okay with seeing them burn. That's my opinion. Oh, that was that. That is my opinion on the One Nation v LNP, I don't know, dichotomy or whatever. I just don't really like, because the thing is, the LNP, if given the opportunity, they are extremely effective. It's just that they've failed a few elections, they've lost a few elections, and with the last election, they extremely lost a lot of their base support. Oh, excuse me. They also lost a lot of not to sound mean or whatever, but newbies. So like they've lost a lot of people who are going to need a little bit of time to then be able to rise up through the ranks, and they're stuck with a lot of older people. So people who are eventually going to have to drop out just because of their age. Like, they're fucked. They are seriously fucked as a party. But if they weren't in that situation, they can be extremely effective to a extremely dangerous level. I mean, look at John Howard, what he was like. He was an effective operator for his vision. I hate John Howard, but he give him credit. He had a vision, and he knew how to obtain it. Oh shit! Let me see if I can just quickly get that back. That was what I wanted.
Nearly 1 million Australians practice Islam. They are doctors, nurses, tradies, teachers, small business owners, firefighters, police officers and veterans. They are imams, community leaders and role models. They are parents and grandparents, brothers and sisters. They are the kids catching the bus home from school every day. And they are the first to condemn the radical extremists who commit terrorist acts in the name of religion, and to claim that none of them are good.
I will say, so far, 26 seconds in, don't have an issue so far with the statement. and she's correct. Funnily enough, Penny Wong uh, is a politician when I was growing up, was seen as like, oh, I don't like the Labor Party, but that Penny Wong, she speaks some sense. She speaks some good stuff for a gay. How far you fall.
Is to say there are no good Australians amongst them. Is to tell a child that no matter how hard they study, how kindly they treat others, how much they love this country, they will never belong. It is to say we have no pride in great Australians like Usman Khawaja or Tina Rahimi or my friend Dr Anne Ali. It is to deny the bravery of Ahmed Al-Ahmed. It is not only dangerous, it is not who we are. Freedom of speech is a cherished part of our democracy, but so too is the responsibility of the
I don't know about that. I don't know if you can say that one anymore, buddy. I don't know if you can say that anymore.
Comes with it, especially for people elected to this place. The words of parliamentarians echo into classrooms, workplaces, communities. They help shape how others see each other and how they see themselves. A nation divided against itself is a nation diminished. When we undermine social cohesion, we weaken the foundations of what makes us the best country on earth. And so many Australians are troubled by the response of those in this place, both not only from One Nation itself, but coalition senators who contemplate working with them. There was a time when leaders understood some lines should not be crossed. Now we see a different approach, a race to outflank Senator Hanson to the right.
Oh, I didn't know this. She's Malaysian. Like obviously she's Australian, but was born in Malaysia. Interesting. I actually thought she was I thought she was actually like Vietnamese or something, but that shows what little I know.
And a willingness to echo the language and legitimise politicians who target people of faith. And in doing so, they shift the boundaries of what is acceptable and they allow a noisy fringe to define Australian values. What are those values? They are fairness. They are respect. They are a recognition we stand as equal citizens of this great country. And this censure motion is about drawing a line and sending a message to the people of faith in this country and sending a message to children in this country that your leaders believe that condemning an entire religion is not acceptable. I am proud of the Australia we've built together. I'm proud to serve with the most diverse parliament in history, and I want every Australian child, Muslim, Christian, Jewish, Hindu, Sikh, or of no faith at all, to know and believe they belong here.
Sucked in if you're a Buddhist. We don't give a fuck about you if you're Buddhists.
They too are part of the Australian story. We do not strengthen Australia by narrowing the definition of who counts. So in defence of the inclusive, confident nation that Australians are so proud of, I commend this motion to the Senate.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Cash. Order.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad speech. It just kind of rings a little hollow when you consider the fact that she's like the second primary person in regards to Australia's involvement with Israel. Kind of ruins the whole thing, kind of makes you go, oh, well, yeah. Oh man, why? Of course, comments had to be turned off. Of course. I bet they would have gone hit with some fucked shit in the comments section. All right, so federal politics. 2 Liberals crossed the floor in support of Hanson's censure as it happened. So who were they? Oh, I don't want to know about that. Labour's censure motion is passed the upper house. Paul Scar and Andrew McLean crossed the bench to support the government's censure motion. So who are they? Paul's got across the floor. Well, you got 3 people here. I don't know which one's which. You have to do a quick search here, I guess. Because lo and behold, when it comes to most Australian politicians, okay, so that one. He looks. Oh yeah, I've seen him in a thing. He's kind of a bit of a fucking twat anyway. And then Andrew McLaughlin, sorry. Him. Okay, so it literally is just the baldy guy is not the guy. Okay, okay. So what does this mean? Well, the censure is a serious but mostly symbolic gesture that allows senators to voice their disagreement with the behaviour of a member. Today's motion won't trigger any practical consequences for the Queensland senator. Like, that's the thing as well. It's like, what? When you consider the fact that Pauline Hanson then stormed out of the Senate, it's like, what were you worried about? It wasn't like they were actually going to, like, does it mean you can't talk for a bit? Condemning comments has just been agreed to in the upper house, minus the censure component. Oh, okay. If you take a look back at Courtney's post earlier, you'll see that includes Section 8F, storms out of the Senate, stormed out of the Senate chamber after delivering a speech rebuking the censure motion. In the speech, Hanson labeled the government's motion as a stunt. I mean, I love that. Says the government can't stand the fact that the right-wing party is rising in the opinion polls. I don't see. This is one thing that always drives me insane with Pauline is because she is so dumb. You can't even. She can't even. That was obviously not the reason. Like you could hit them with the whole like, oh, this is just liberal politics. They're just so concerned about the things I say. What are you talking about with the rising in the opinion polls? It's not really what they got to, like if that was the case, then why did the majority of the Liberal Party support you? They clearly aren't like that fond of you at the moment because they're trying to like uphold their own base and support. She's rejected that she was suggesting there were no good Muslims and has labeled the government. Okay, come on, honey. Come on. The fact is in your gut that you can't stand. The fact is that One Nation is now in 27%, 28%. You can't stand it. It's been misreported misreported a lot by the media you see. You do not even know. You don't. You do not even know in the full context of what was said. God, she has such a way with words. She has such a way with the English language. Here's the full censure motion. Oh God. Okay, hang on. Give me a moment here. I need to just 1 sec. I'm gonna rip apart some lib shit here. Just give me 1 sec. Okay, let's rip apart some lib shit here. So, that the Senate affirms that Australia has been built by the hard work, sacrifice, and aspiration of people of every race and faith, assures all Australians they are valued, welcome members of our society, regardless of their race and religion, rejects any attempt to vilify people on the basis of their religion, reiterates its solidarity with those. Interesting to use the word solidarity. It's normally a That's normally a lefty term. With those who have been vilified because of their faith, reaffirms that if Parliament is to be a safe place for all who work and visit here, there can be no tolerance for hate speech in the course of parliamentarians' public debate. Calls on all senators to engage in debates and commentary respectfully and to refrain from inflammatory and divisive comments both inside and outside the chambers at all times. And Censured Senator Hanson for inflammatory divisive comments seeking to vilify Muslim Australians which do not reflect the opinions of the Australian Senate or the Australian people. All right, so this is the thing this is why I'm saying this is lib shit. What does this actually do? This does nothing. This does actually effectively nothing. Because at the end of the day, this is just them kind of giving themselves a pat on the back that they're better than Hanson, which I'm going to be honest, that's not a high bar. It's not that hard to be better than Hanson. She can barely speak English properly, which she's wanting to require everyone to be able to speak in this country. She can barely speak it herself. So, like, good job, you're better than her. I especially love this whole idea of reiterated solidarity with those who have been vilified because of their faith. You should probably have a look into what's going on in Palestine in regards to that, because that's basically what's going on over there. Well, they use it as optics. And then, of course, it wants to affirm it for itself that Parliament and the Senate is, nice and squeaky clean so that we don't have any of these incidences happen again, so we don't have to bring notice to it again, so we don't have to bring, we don't have to acknowledge it. Also, it kind of is implicitly kind of going like, look, Pauline, just pull your head in and you'll be fine. You can keep your seats, you can keep your party, and things like that. It shows that all Australians are valued, welcome members, blah blah blah. Doesn't actually change anything. Like, okay, it assures it. How? How are you assuring this? Firms that Australia's been built by the hard work. Like, yes, we agree. I can agree with you on that, but this doesn't do anything. There is still going to be a proportion of the population who fundamentally disagrees with this. The issue here is this is lib shit. To put it simply, like, this does nothing. Like, this isn't this is arguably worse than the hate speech thing, because at least that's doing something, which I didn't really like what it does, but nonetheless it's doing something. This is doing nothing except just saying, yeah, we affirm that Australia, blah 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 blah. Like, honestly, the Labor Party should be renamed to the Liberal Party, and the Liberal Party should be renamed to like the Corporate Party or something. I don't know. The guys who can't fucking tie their shoelaces, or they need like extra pair of teeth when they go out to vote slash perform at Parliament. Like, the Labor Party is no longer, as I will probably say in multiple times throughout these sorts of things, the Labor Party is no longer a Labor Party. It is just fundamentally not. It is no longer a workers' party. We need a workers' party in this country. Until we have that, the Greens. But nonetheless, they should be called the Liberal Party. It at least would kind of realign our political terminology and language in this country, because I've been pissed to tears over the fact that over trying to communicate with people like, oh, Liberal, oh, not the Liberal National Party, I meant like Labour. But not even necessarily Labour, because it doesn't have to be all the people who vote Labour, just liberals, as in like the political ideology of being a liberal. They all need to be renamed. That would be, honestly, if they did that as a law, that would have as a bill that then got passed and blah blah blah, that would actually be doing something. It would have. Again, you don't hate these people enough. You don't hate them enough. Move the amendment to Labour's censure motion. Oh, what did she add? Here's what the Victorian Senate has moved. Calls on the government to commit to implementing the National Anti-Racism Network in full as a matter of urgency, because tackling racism requires more than words of condemnation. It requires action. Well, there you go. There you go. So this is exactly what I mean. This is, yeah, she's an independent. So like, this is exactly what I mean. Lydia Thorpe is hitting exactly the note of the same notes that I'm hitting right now, where this is just words of condemnation and it doesn't really mean much at the end of the day. But what it needs is action. If again they had put in something, maybe not even literally the same, but something akin to this. I don't know exactly what this is, the National Anti-Racism Framework. It's probably something that's been done in like a committee or whatever and has been suggested. That would at least, some other house, that would at least be something. This other shit's all fucking pointless. Praise on the anxieties of Australians, Greens say. Yeah, I agree with you there. They definitely do that. Won't support censorship. Yep. Okay, cool. Wait, has stepped up now where she's indicating that it won't be supporting a censure. The coalition won't support Section G of the motion, which seeks to censure Hanson for the inflammatory comments. Was that? Oh, yeah, G. And it won't support Section G. See, this is the thing with the Liberal parties. This is why they need a rename, because, like, give them credit for one thing. They're consistent in of doing nothing really for anyone who isn't just rich. Give them credit for that. Look, what they are basically saying is, hey, Pauline has bought her ticket into a place of power. She deserves to keep it. But all the other stuff, yeah, we're cool with that. We're cool with that. You can have your fun saying all that stuff. The reason she's given for not supporting the motion is because she says censures should be reserved for behaviour in Parliament. That's a very wishy-washy reason. Liberal senator says she's disappointed the motion will be put to a vote without debate and amendments. But didn't. Ah, well, I guess that's what. No, not that one. Lydia Thorpe was suggesting. But she has used the opportunity to condemn Senator Hanson for a comment. So she basically she did an even better version. So like she did even more liberal thing than the new Liberal Party of the Labour Party, which is like, yeah, I'm going to condemn her, and then I'm not even going to censure her. That's great. Like all Australians, regardless of your religion, even if you do not. Come on, why not include that bit about her mum's friend? That really real friend. And just like that, question time is over puts an end to question time for another day. If you missed it, don't worry, we've got another one for you in 23 hours. Move, center, move. Yeah, okay. Fun. Liberal Senator defends coalition. Well, we already kind of went through that. Hanson calls motion a stunt before leaving room. As it happened, we kind of already went through all that then. She said she did not think anyone in Australia feels any sadness over the death of Iran's. Yeah, whatever. I'm so glad I'm not a Canberra fucking reporter. That shit would be so annoying. I mean, I know that, like, you know, they have fun times in Canberra, let's just say. Oh, really? It's gonna do that to me, isn't it? Oh. Come on. What's happened to Sky News? It's just fucking killed itself or whatever in Minecraft. In Roblox. Alright. Well, that's what that is. So that was Hanson being censured in Parliament, in the Senate. And then the next thing I wanted to quickly cover was the Queensland government basically trying to ban, well, I'm just going to say it, they're trying to ban protests. Obviously, they're just more so trying to ban phrases, but I can see this expanding. Let's be real. So I just want to watch this part. Oh, we need some volume.
To ban, 1, from the river to the sea, and 2, globalise the intifada will be written into the legislation to prevent any doubt. Earlier today, Labor announced that despite its reservations, it would be supporting the bill. Told the government will now ensure.
Oh, I thought we were going to get a little bit more than that. Let's see, do we get, did they have any live clips or anything while they were there? Just not, come on, is there any? Let's see. Hang on, let me just, let me put it to here. And then, just so I don't accidentally out people, you know. Be almost done now anyway. Where can I search here? We want to put the Palestine protest Queensland Parliament. Surely there's going to be like, surely someone's just streaming from their phone or something. Yeah, no, I'm just getting. Well, I'll just quickly see if I can use so far. I'll bring them up later. Yeah, I can use this at least. So the 6-word phrase set to become banned in one Aussie state that could land you behind bars for 2 years. So they're going to make from the river to the sea illegal, bannable, banned, and they're also doing globalize the intifada. Now the confusion here, especially, is I think it's only supposed to be during protests, which, oh, it's a real tricky line to run. A controversial slogan. Oh shit, I don't want that. Shit. Can I get rid of that? There we go. Not right now, mate. Oi, oi. Controversial slogan calling for Palestinian liberation will be outlawed in one state in an Australian first move that forms part of a sweeping laws to target hate speech and anti-Semitism. Might actually see if I can follow these guys. Yep. Queensland will become the first state to expressly ban the use of the phrase "from the river to the sea," which has been widely adopted by pro-Palestinian supporters. It and the slogan "Globalized Intifada" will become prescribed phrases under the proposed laws, leaving anyone displaying or uttering the words liable for a maximum 2-year prison sentence. Now, I think what is inevitably going to happen. Oh, lovely. What is inevitably going to happen when I'm going to see if I can just Queensland Parliament banning river to the sea snap protest. What I'm interested to see is, the thing is, look, I know a lot of people in the pro-Palestinian movement in Queensland / Brisbane in particular. Obviously, Brisbane being the main place because it's the capital of Queensland. I would not be surprised if the next event, the next rally, next march, whatever, they just still all do it. And it's like logistically kind of impossible for the police to actually, arrest everyone and all that. But the problem is, as well, with this AI world that we're going into, it doesn't matter if they arrest you there on the spot. They can hit you up with it later. Tomorrow actually means why. That's all about it being today. Is there nothing about nothing live? Fuck, man, maybe I should have gone out there to be the one to stream it live or something like that. Okay. Well, that kind of runs that off. Let's see what this video at least.
You could face jail time for saying "from the river to the sea" in Queensland if new laws go through. So what exactly does that sentence mean, and why is the state government... You could face jail time for saying "from the river to the sea" in Queensland if new laws go...
Just remember, this is because of the hate speech shit. The hate speech stuff has dramatically changed, like, how we talk about this stuff now. Where now it's like, oh, well, if we can make that illegal, we can make this illegal. It's the slippery slope effect. It's the few cases it ever does work, it ever is applicable. I do have an issue with hate speech laws. I much prefer my enemies to be honest, to be not forced to be honest, because you can't really force them to do that, but like, let them hang themselves with their own rope, and then we will pull it.
Through. So what exactly does that sentence mean, and why is the state government moving to criminalise it? You can find this phrase on signs or chanted at pro-Palestinian protests across the world. It refers to the land between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea, and while
So yeah, it's a phrase that ultimately means, well, because it's not just from the river to the sea, you see. There's a bit more about it. It's from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. It's a freedom chant, ultimately.
While it has been much more visible at Western protests in recent years, it has a longer and much more complex history. To some, it's a call for Palestinian liberation.
This will be interesting, and this is where I have my issues with ABC.
To others, it's interpreted as anti-Semitic and seen as a call for the...
Interpreted as anti-Semitic. Why? Well, I guess we'll find out.
Elimination of Israel.
Okay. What about that as anti-Semitic? If it was elimination of Jews, that's anti-Semitic, but it's not about that. It's about getting rid of the state of Israel, because the state of Israel is a fundamentally anti-Semitic and Islamophobic state. It's also anti-Semitic. This is the thing is very rarely ever discussed, and you'll see this from pro-Palestinian protesters who acknowledge the fact that the problem here is Israel. The very existence of Israel is the reason why Jews are getting hurt all around the world, and the reason they're getting hurt is because of the actions that Israel is doing, and then forcing down our throats the connection between Zionism and Judaism, Zionism and Jews. The more and more they keep doing that, which they're doing intentionally for the purpose, so that the more and more they keep doing it, people keep making that connection, they just start blaming all Jews. They start attacking Jews on that basis. It's a coordinated effort from Israel.
So let's get into it. Because this stretch of geographical land between the river and the sea has sat at the heart of a decades-long conflict between Israel and Palestine, you can find it referenced in rhetoric from both sides stretching back years. For example, in the 1960s, the Palestine Liberation Organization used it to advocate for a state to supersede Israel to encompass its historic territories. In the late 1970s, the Likud party, now led by Benjamin Netanyahu, used it, saying between the sea and the Jordan there will only be Israeli sovereignty.
Well, that's not really the same thing, is it? Between the sea and the Jordan. It sounds similar, but it's not really the same thing.
At the time, much of this language was tied to a vision of a single state across the territory. Today, when people use it, the meaning has become much more contested. Palestinian activist groups like the Australian Muslim Advocacy Network say it's emerged as a phrase that calls for an end to violence and rather for Palestinian self-determination after decades of Israeli military rule over millions of Palestinians. They argue it's a call for equality of treatment for all groups, not a call to expel Jewish people. But for groups like Australia's peak Jewish body, it's hate speech.
Don't you find that interesting? That one side is saying it's not only is it not about expelling Jews, that it's actually about like all of us coming together and fighting against this greater threat of fascism and whatnot. And then you've got the other side who says, no, it's just about them wanting to kill us. You seem to be the ones, well, you as in like Israel, seem to be the ones desperate to kill them. Interesting.
Calling for a Palestinian state that dismantles the Jewish one through the forced removal of Jews from their homeland.
I find it interesting that she didn't even mention ancestral homeland. Yeah, because as we know, it was promised in the 3,000 years ago, even though these aren't even the exact same type of Jews. They aren't the same people. The people that are there now, the Palestinians, are those Jews, or were those Jews, I should say.
The body says many Jewish people understand the chant to be linked to violence against Israeli Jews, pointing...
Oh, so now it's just against Israeli Jews. So it's not even just against... Oh, well then what are we worried about? If we can say it here then. Because, like, there's no Israeli Jews here, right? Well, they would be in Israel, right? I don't know, you get the odd few, but they'll fly under the bus. It'll be fine.
to Hamas's use of it in its charter, which Australia has recognised as a terror organisation. Now, when the news broke of potentially jailing people in Queensland over this phrase, here is how the Council for Civil Liberties summarised the clash. Many Jewish people would say it means wiping Israel from the map, the Watchdog's president said. Other people would say it's a criticism of the way Israel has conducted themselves in Gaza and in the West Bank well before October.
Equal statements, you know, just totally equal statements, especially considering which one we're seeing more of, like the actual actions behind them. Even that's a bit piss poor from Queensland Council for Civil Liberties. I've interviewed them before. I would have expected a bit better.
Over 2023 and after. So what exactly are the proposed laws in Queensland? Under the new legislation, public use of from the river to the sea to
And then to call it terrorist slogans, I mean, come the fuck on. It's so obvious what they're trying to do here.
cause menace, harassment or offence will be banned with a maximum penalty of 2 years in prison. The state government has labelled both it and Globalise the Intifada as terrorist slogans, prohibiting the reciting or displaying of these phrases. So why now? All of these proposed changes ultimately come in the wake of the Bondi Beach terrorist attack. Since then, Jewish community groups have been calling for greater action against anti-Semitism, and the country has been grappling with how best to do that. At a national level in January, Parliament passed the toughest federal hate speech laws in Australia's history. With these tensions front and centre in Australia right now, both state and federal authorities are grappling with where the line is between the freedom of speech, the freedom to protest, and the need to protect groups from hatred.
Here's my answer for it. Free speech, you can't be fucking telling people what they can and can't say to protest. Like that is, like this isn't even a matter of like what you can and can't say. This is now a matter of what you can and can't say at a specific location, or sorry, not a specific location, but during a specific event. Like think of it like this. Imagine. This is going to sound like a really ridiculous comparison, but I would argue that's why I think this whole thing is ridiculous. But this would be as if you went to a gig and you were told that you weren't allowed to say like, you know, fuck it, because I'm a punk. It'd be like if you went to a punk gig and they said you're not allowed to say punk's not dead. I'm sorry? This is the thing that we are here for. What were you expecting? Yeah, it could be cringy outside of this context. That's one thing. But this is the point. By the way, yes, I am wearing one of my own merch shirts. And it is the Australian flag on fire because I'm cool like that. Anyways, yeah. Queensland once used to be a state of freedom. Queensland is now a state of rigorous, authoritarian, nanny state bullshit. It's not fun being a lefty in this fucking country, I'll tell you that much. Look, I do have a love for this country. You know, it's hard to sometimes, a lot of times. But I do have a love for this country. More so, I have a love for its people, for the people who are here, because they are who make a country at the end of the day. At the end of the day, that's what a nation is supposed to be. It's a collection, a collective of a group of people that we can unite around a nationality. That's the point of a nation. It's the origins of these terms. And so like, you know, I do have a love for the country in that sense. I have a love for the nation in that sense of like, you know, I love the people of this country. But goddamn, sometimes it fucking makes it hard for me. Sometimes it makes it real fucking hard. All right, cool. That's all that. I'm just going to do a little bit of last lols, looking at some of the stuff that I've had happening in the background on my Twitter. Oh yeah, fucking Ozpil, fursuit guy. It's just happened. What was happening, mate? Oh, I'm saving this image. I'm saving this image. Oh God, that's so good. I'll probably end it off here though. Yeah. Ah, suck. Now that is what our that's what we get Photoshop for, folks. That's why we use it. All right. This actually went a lot longer than I was expecting. Normally I don't go for this long. That's good. But we hit about 3 hours, so that's a good time I think to leave it. I'm just gonna quickly like all these because they are banger. Cool. Alrighty. Have a great rest of the night and week, folks. Oh, now it's gone black. Oh God. Now I'm going into the darkness. Alrighty. Bye.